What is going on YouTube? Dr. Way here on my main account. We're gonna go over commander investments, but first I need to send out some gatherers. One second here to send out some gatherers. Why is it? I should have went to that one honestly, but just send Centurion and there. I need something else. I'm doing a gathering event. Um, just starving and some food. I'm gonna get the food from the pit. Don't worry about that. I guess it's so tough when you're in beginning of KVK. Everybody fucking comes over. They get any nodes. Actually, they'll give me bonuses for that. I'm okay with the food. Maybe we can find some wood here. Yeah, I'll probably want this is fine. Like that Tomorrow, Georgia. Okay. So this is a commander investment video, and I think most people want to know about commander investment in terms of combat, but there's other investments that you make that are non-combat related, and that's where I kind of want to start. And that's something that I didn't write in the email. You only get 2,000 characters. Man, fuck this game, because there's some things that just can't be explained in 2,000 characters. I think the first thing I did on my restart is I got 3 commanders up to level 37 that were gatherers. The ones I chose were Centurion, I chose Constance, and Sarka, and I chose them for very specific reasons. Um, Constance has grants additional resources upon completion. It's very good in the pit. So you send her to the pit. I don't care if you're gathering wood or not. Like you could gather gold. You don't even get bonuses for gold. You just send her to the pit. I like to put all universal sculptures. So any of these universal sculptures, I put all of them into her. There's no reason to put them into literally anybody else. Because you can only get her sculptures from Expedition. So you might as well use all blue universals and put it into her. And quite honestly, the faster you max her out, at least getting these, like if this skill is like something random, that's fine, it doesn't matter. But just getting these last 3 skills maxed are like super important. Same thing, and the reason why you want level 37 is you can get all the way down here to get the 25% gathering speed. I've already talked about this in other videos, and then if you want to be fancy, you can get 30% march speed there, and you just level 40. But that you don't need that in the early game. Sarka is generally just good. Um, she works with anything, gold included. Centurion's the same way, and Centurion is the cheapest to upgrade because he's advanced. So XP wise and sculpture wise, you can get him up like very fast. Okay, I think that was my first investment. It's just getting the fucking gatherers. Um, Now I think um, you gotta have secondaries with them. A lot of people have Tomar, fine. You can use Gaius, obviously. He'll be a primary eventually, but you can use him as a secondary for now. You can use Cleo if you got her. Um, you know, I'm holding off on Joan because yes, Joan is a gatherer, but she's way much more than that, and we'll get to that in a second. So that's like the non-combat stuff, and that's very important. You can't actually fight if you don't have resources. I think some of you guys are figuring that out when we had that war. You run out of resources, right? So the gatherers are very important because they're the it's like the economic backing. Like you can't fight a war without any financial backing, right? You need to be able to pay for the supplies, to maintain the troops. You still need the everything to upgrade your, city infrastructure. Like you need the financial backing, which in this game is the resources. Okay, so that's why the gathering commanders are very important because they give you the resources. Okay, amen. So now I want to go to some combat commanders. And my like again, I'm playing this game as a medium-ish, high-ish spender. I don't know. Whales say I'm medium, fucking free to play, and medium spenders say I'm high spending. But here it is. I've been playing this for 170 days. I'm VIP 13. And you can kind of see some of the commanders that I have. They're pretty legit. Okay. Um, I would say for free to play, this don't look at my account and say you're gonna. It's not realistic, right? It would take you 3 times as long to expertise ESOM than it took me, maybe even worse than that, right? Um, so I think for most free to play, this is how I think your role should be on a battlefield. Like, yes, you have to feel rallies. In that sense, your troops don't matter. Only when you join in rallies, defending flags, only the rally leader stuff matter. But when you're in an open field, right, and you are in control of your own individual march, your function really is to support the guys that can really do a lot of the damage. Um, and the reason why I say that is like, for example, a commander like Esong, he's all about doing damage, right? There's no way in hell you're gonna out damage somebody as a free to play that spends money. It's not possible. So a lot of times you're better suited buffing or debuffing the enemy than you are like trying to output the same type of damage that the enemy. It's not possible, right? You'll get wrecked and you won't actually do any damage. You just get wrecked. But if you provide a buff, you might still get wrecked, but at least you're providing some real benefit to the fight through the buffs and debuffs, right? So, although Sun Tzu doesn't have any of that, he does have some tankiness, which helps you survive, and he regenerates rage when he hits targets, and he's AoE. You always want AoE in the field, like, not to say your damage doesn't matter, it just doesn't matter as much as some other people's damage. But the rage, regen, and the tankiness is very important. And I'll get to that later. So I think Sun Tzu, especially to run as a primary garrison, is very good. You can run them as a primary in the open field as well. This is a garrison build. I've showed this units in a video before. This is that's a flag. This is for all infantry and stuff. The reason why I like the Sun Tzu is because he's an epic. He's easy to work with. He's the best epic, and there really isn't too much he really can't do. He has some support aspect with the rage. He has some steel damage. He has some tankiness, some stats, garrison. Right, so he has some good qualities, but I'm like that. And I think a very natural pairing to pair with him as a free to play is just the Joan. I mean, you need another gatherer. She can be a primary gatherer, secondary for fighting. She provides an insane rage buff, stat increase 30%. And the stat depends on what type of troops you got. The most beneficial is the health on the infantry. It makes you tanky as hell. She has some healing factor, and then she does a little bit of normal attack damage. It's just like basically that just increases the white numbers that you see. You expertise her, the rage regen is unmatched, and you giving that to yourself and 5 other targets. You combine that with Sun Tzu's rage in the open field, AoE, everybody's grouped up, you don't know what the fuck's going on. That's very powerful. You're doing a little bit of damage. You're buffing the allies. You're giving them like tons of rage and stuff, like just shit tons. It's not even okay. And if enough people run the Sun Tzu Joan, you can really wreck a battlefield. It's very strong. Too many people are concerned about doing damage and not about winning the fight. Joan will win you fights. Joan, I'll repeat that. Joan will literally win you fights. It's that serious. She will win you fights. Um, I think going off of the Sun Tzu, if you didn't want to get off of that train, Ethel, she doesn't have to be a primary per se. And you don't have to have her expertise either. I think a 5-5, 1-1 Ethel is like completely reasonable. You can bring all infantry or mixed troops if you want. If you do, you'll get a little bit of more attack. The main thing is that she's providing this instead of buffing your allies, you're debuffing the enemy. This is a little bit more damage focused or damage oriented. The Sun Tzu with the Ethel, but it's still a great buff. And like if you were a player who wasn't exactly a medium spender, but had a little bit of more power about him, a little bit more troops. I think it's very reasonable to run this, and some people have to run it. It's a night and day difference. 30%, like it doesn't even. It's not even about how much damage you do or who the enemy is. 30% of stats reducing attack, defense, and health. Like it's not even. It doesn't matter if you're a whale, free to play. Like 30% of each stat is 30% of each stat. It's happening. Right, and when you reducing those stats, and then you can hit them with the AOE, and the big boys can get in there and do a lot of damage. The Sun Tzu with the other flat is very good, and again, you're still the whole idea is you're just pumping out the debuff. So with the Sun Tzu and having the rage in the open field, you're able to pump out that debuff very often. For the same reason, right? I like Richard as primary, but as a secondary to Sun Tzu, it's just a so good support march, right? You even if you just have the first skill max, 30% damage reduction, 2 seconds, march speed reduction. You got some healing factor, a big healing factor at that. You can survive longer in the fight. If you do max the second skill, even if it's just level 1, it's 5%. You take 5% less damage, like flat out. It's 5% less damage you're taking. 15% if you max the first 2 skills. I mean, it's really good. It's really good, right? So here you are. You're free to play. You're on the field. You're making the enemies do less damage. You're using Sun Tzu, getting a little bit of your damage off. You're regenerating rage. You can pop the debuff again. It's really good. It's really good. Now. And that's why I like Sun Tzu, because he's versatile as a primary, he's versatile as a secondary. You can run some other things, like you can flip that, like Richard Sun Tzu, and there's some things I like about Richard Sun Tzu instead of Sun Tzu Richard, where Richard's the primary, mainly because, and this is attainable. I wrote it in an email. It doesn't take too terribly much to get that first skill maxed on Richard. And I really like the defense tree because essentially you just want to live to tell the tale, right? So you got, you can reduce the skill damage you take, you can reduce all the damage you take, you get hella defense when you finally, get them up. If you don't care about your damage, you can make it so you take even less damage. You have some extra healing factor here. You have a chance to take even less damage when you're getting attacked. There's a lot of things, because again, you're trying to stay on the field as long as possible to provide the debuff or the buff. That's it. You're not actually on the field to necessarily do damage. You're just trying to disable the enemy in some particular type of way, whether that be through debuffing or enabling your allies by buffing. Okay. Mulan, she is basically Jones, but she gives like march speed as well. That's essentially the difference. Instead of giving rage, she gives march speed. The buff isn't as long though, but she will give you, instead of 30% of stat, she throws it across the board, gives you 45. I could see somebody having a 5-1-1-1 jump, 5-1-1-1 Mulan, and I think that's reasonable, especially if you want that march speed. The march speed comes into play. I think Jones better in general because of how long her buff actually is. Who else? Jorn, you see, I'm recommending commanders that have buffs and debuffs. Okay, like with Jorn, you could run Jorn primary, Sun Tzu secondary. I think that's very, I think that's very valid on. I think that's very valid on somebody that can do a lot because Jorn does a lot of damage. The main thing is he has skill damage, 700 damage factor. And you think like, okay, there's some guys that'll do more, but then he has this instant proc damage where it's a 10% chance to just straight up do 800 damage factor out of nowhere. Is very good, especially if that hits after you get your skill damage increase. And it's not that it's increasing your skill damage, it's a debuff on an enemy, meaning that one enemy, and in this case, when you expertise 3 enemies nearby, take increased skill damage. So when you're in a fight, right, and you pop off your active skill, you're gonna hit one target with the active skill, but then all 3 enemies take extra skill damage that's nearby, and you like smack them, like all your friends just smack them, right? With this insane AOE. So I didn't really get to work with Jorn as much because he's actually a very new commander. He came out once my Sun Tzu was already 60, so I didn't really want to make him as a primary, but like Jorn with Sun Tzu is pretty legit. And then you can like again you can do you can make Sun Tzu the primary. There's no shame in that. Like throw Jorn as a secondary, right? So you won't get the benefit of Sun Tzu getting that extra damage, but all of your friends will. And you can put Jorn behind shit any of these guys. Richard, Ethel. I wouldn't do Jorn. Joan or anything like that, but definitely with any of these other commanders. Now with the E-Song, like again, I think everybody's first commander that you should expertise is E-Song. It's gonna take 700 sculptures, 10 to unlock, 690 sculptures to expertise, and it does. It takes a lot. I'm not gonna lie. Like it's gonna take over a year, guaranteed, dude. Easily for a free to play over a year. And you're gonna have to be very vigilant about not putting your universals into anything else. As a medium spender, high spender, whatever, I was very disciplined. And I actually expertised Esong in a dumb type of way. I expertised them earlier than what I should have. And I used way more sculptures than I probably should have for universals because I was a garrison leader. I was a garrison leader in my kingdom. Actually, I ought to show you how much I didn't have spenders because as a medium high spender, right? I'm not even a whale, right? That's something that a whale would do. I basically had to try to be a whale or pretend to be a whale because never mind. I'm not gonna talk shit about anybody, but okay, hey man. Moving on. You want to expertise them quick, and it's gonna take a lot. And I think the biggest piece of advice is as a free to play is I don't care how you gotta do it, dude. Get to VIP 10 as soon as you can because if you do, you'll get 1 sculpture per day. So when you're signing in every fucking day into this game, you're playing this game every day, you'll get something. How do you do that? What I would do is straight up just unlock, and I really do mean just unlock. Um, what is it, Richard? And you unlock the E-Song, right? The YSG, because, and you might want to save about 10,000 gems, so I would keep about 20,000 gems in your back pocket at all times. And once you get that, every other gem that you get can pretty much go into VIP. And then when you do spin the wheel to get him, you get back up to 20k gems, and then all 20k gems after anything after 20k gems goes back into VIP. You need 150,000 VIP. Super important, right? That you get to VIP 10. Now I'm VIP 13, so I get at VIP 12 you get 2 sculptures. Once you get to VIP 14, which like it takes too long, dude. Like I'll spend shit tons of money. It takes too long. You will get 3 sculptures a day, and then you really cooking with jet fuel once you get to the 3 sculptures per day. Okay, so those are my recommendations, you know. And then with the e-song, like you could start off, like if you honestly, if you did it right, you know, and you were very patient, I'm pretty sure with how the game is giving out sculptures right now, if you participate in the events, especially Arc, a lot of people free to play don't do Arc. Do fucking Arc. It's called Arc of Osiris. It'll come out in a couple of weeks. That's how you get your sculptures. If you win Arc of Osiris, you get 10 sculptures. You can get up to 10. You can get 8, or most people get 8 free to play a lot of the times. Especially in the early game, you'll get 8. That's more reasonable if you win. If you lose, you'll get like 4 or so. But and it's every 2 weeks. And then Champions of Olympia is another game mode that if you win like 4 matches, you'll get 2 legendary commander sculptures, and that is every week on weekends. So that's, even if you fucking lose and just win champs, eventually you're gonna win games of Champions of Olympia. That's 6 sculptures. You know, let's see, it's 4 plus 16, so that averages out to about 5 sculptures per week. You know, so do what you want with that information. And there's other events that you can get, you know, legendary commander sculptures as well. So I think it's pretty reasonable to say that if you're vigilant on this game, you could get Esong reliably to, you know, 5-5-1-1 to start, Richard 5-1-1-1 to get him going, and I think that's very reasonable. Start as a free to play, and you know, you could pair, because Esong's about doing damage. You know, you can pair him with Herman if you want more AOE, less March speed. You can pair him with Shinoki. That's reasonable. Or you can go pair him with, I think Ethel is a fine choice. Richard is a kind of a weird one. It's mainly you're trying to hide the Esong behind a tank. You can do it with the Sun Tzu. Esong, anything works. Fuck Esong. Minor Esong works. Really, it's kind of squishy, but it's not a bad pairing, I don't think. So those are some recommendations. Do not, and I've already put it in the email. Don't invest in Goku commanders, right? Charles Martel is my favorite commander. You know, he is very good. He's the best of the Goku commanders, and I wish the hell I could expertise him for the fucking March speed. It's not even the stats I want. It's just the fucking March speed that I want. And you know, funny enough, I have enough sculptures to fucking do it, but I won't do it because over time I'm gonna get his sculptures, and I think 5-5-1-1 is quite good in my opinion. For Martel. Now I did spend. Eventually you'll be able to. This is a spenders thing. Now we're getting into the spending, but you can actually get him from the daily special after his MGE is over. And I did get him to 5-5-1-1 like that. Like it was like he's that good. I wouldn't put universals into him though. So that option of kind of paying your way into it isn't really an option for free to play. But if you're like a medium spender, right, or higher, and you didn't get Martel from MGE, and you just kind of want to get him to a decent state, I think that's pretty reasonable. Because the only other commander at the time that would probably be worth investing, you know, your boxes in, is Richard. And a lot of people make the argument that you don't really want to take Richard past the first, you know, 3 skills max. Some people say the first 2 skills max now, because how he gets countered in the late game, you pretty much just use him for barbs, and when you get to the late game, so I don't think he's that bad, but he has some good qualities. But so that's where we're at. I wouldn't, like, again, I literally saved all my sculptures for Esong. I don't think I put universal sculptures into any other commander yet. I think I've gotten South up almost through. I think 5-5-5-1 Sal is where you should stop as well, and I got that all the way through boxes. I got Martel through boxes, and I think they're the 2 commanders. South is very PvE focused. He can be used for PvP. He's not bad, but very PvE focused because he's a peacekeeper, barbarian damage, and I think Martel is just a great tank, especially as in the hands of a medium spender. Martel is all about taking less damage through the shield, right, and then dishing out more damage with the secondary commander. So people don't understand this. Like Richard, I want to point this out. Richard is a support tank, right? He's debuffing enemies, right? Martel ain't debuffing shit. You know, he's actually only with the exception of his stats and the shield, he's not that tanky. Like with the Richard, you're getting healing and a lot of damage taken reduction. Martel don't got that. Martel has some stats, some defensive stats. He has a shield, which you know is still tanky in itself, and then he has counterattack. Right? He's pokey. He's trying to, you know, he gonna take a little bit of damage. He gonna fuck you up back. Right? That's Martel. Right? Richard doesn't do damage. Richard does not do damage. He does very little damage. Martel will do damage if you put the right commander. Martel E-Song. That's when I'm running in KVK2. That shit will slap somebody. That shit will slap somebody. Dude, because of the 30% damage bonus. Oh, you see the AoE 700 damage factor, 5 targets, increased skill. Disgusting. On top of the 30% damage, disgusting. Very good damage. So I like him in the hands of, you can use him. You could do like Martel with Jorn. I think that's reasonable. You can debuff enemies that way, and it kind of enables Jorn in a way to do more damage. But that's like I like that in the hands of somebody that spends money though, because they're the ones that's going to do the damage theoretically. Sometimes they don't show up to the fight at all. I think that all in all, when you're free to play, the infantry commanders, especially the tanks, the Richard, and to some degree the Martel, even though I like them in the hands of somebody else, like I'm not going to argue with you. A 5.5/1/1 Martel in the hands of anybody is probably fine. I really like the Ethelflad for medium. I mean, shit, everybody should be trying to get Ethel in the mix somewhere early on. Like she's a top tier commander. Now, a lot of people say she's trash. Some people say she's this, she's that. But what happens is that people know how dangerous she is. This debuff, make no mistake about it, it is arguably the best debuff in the game. Arguably the best debuff in the game. And she has a support tree, which can fire off skills at a rate that's not okay. I'm surprised it hasn't been nerfed yet. So she gets focused. I mean, if you see an Ethel on the field, you want to kill her so fast. Because if you don't, and you let her do her damage, do that debuff, your marches will suffer. And it's AoE, all your marches will suffer. So, people like to say this and that about Ethel. She's fucking good, and because she's so good, she gets focused, and that's why people say like, oh, not good primary, this, that. Put her behind Richard, she'll be protected. Put her behind Martel, she'll be protected. Even if you put her behind Sun Tzu, that's better than putting her as a primary. Those are my recommendations. For the free to play, for the investments, like the Sun Tzu Joan is like a really good gold standard. You can throw Jorn in there, you can throw Ethel in there, you can throw Mulan in there, Richard, but that's like the general consensus, right? There were some other pairings, like if you are going to have YSG, I think Kusunoki YSG is great, free to play, and if I had to do a Cav build, it would be Belisarius and Bybars, because you won't have mine as a free to play. You might not have Sal in a very good spot. I think the Belarus with the Bybars is great for that, but I don't like Cass all that much. Not all that much. Those are my recommendations. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Hopefully this video gave you more insight. I already told you what to do, but this video is the why of why I'm telling you to do what I'm telling you to do. Okay? Legion 4, Gallica, I love every single one of you. Our alliance is growing in power. I'm expecting big things. We're the sworn enemy of the Legacy Project for their dishonorable, and I really do mean dishonorable actions in war and diplomacy. Sweet Lord. See you in the next video.